All right, everybody. Welcome to this month's celebration and support call. This is the greatest year of your alumni group, obviously. And Q1, I will say Q1 is in the books. Hold on 1 second. If you guys got noise in your background, please mute yourself. Thank you. That's better. So, and you can unmute yourself if you have a question or you want to share a celebration or anything like that. Okay. So Q1 is in the books. Quarter one is in the books, and I think it's always important that we look back at the quarter that we just accomplished and dissect it a little bit, dig into it a little bit to understand more about what's working, what's not working, and what do we need to do to improve. And so, during this call, I think it was a good idea for us to, instead of diving into the workbook, to dive into these three questions that I've been sharing lately on some of my Facebook Live stuff and all of that. So give me 1 second, and we're going to jump into this. But as I'm looking for this, I'd love to hear what are some of the wins and celebrations you guys are experiencing. Let's hear it. Doors are open for the sharing of wins and celebrations. Who's in?
I'm in.
Mythica, give it to us, homegirl.
So my big win for the quarter is finally turning in my Power of Pretend book to my publishers. It's now in their hand, and I officially have a launch date of June 16th for the book to be released. So I've been working on this for like 3 years, so this is a really big deal for me.
That's awesome.
I just doubled down, and I did an in-town staycation, went to a friend's house, and just like got up every single day, ate, did my meditation, and then went into writing and in getting the final edit done. And so, off my plate. So happy. That's my big win.
I love this because I think there's a lot of people here that either have already written a book or in the process of writing a book or want to write a book. What was it for you? What was the catalyst or the trigger that said, okay, I'm gonna commit to meditating and then fucking writing. I'm gonna get this done. What was that for you?
Well, I had been doing an hour here or an hour there, and I got to the point where I got frustrated, and I was just like, I cannot make this go one more year on my vision board, one more year of like it not getting done. And it was going to take, if I was going to do it an hour at a time, then it would be another 40 weeks, which would mean 52 weeks in a year. Like it'd be a whole nother year. And I was like, no, it can't do that. So I just said, screw it. I doubled down, and I made sure that I didn't have any other obligations for during the week. And I went and stayed at my friend's house, and I was like, I got it done. It was over 4 days. I did 10 hours a day, so I did 40 hours in 4 days.
So this is so awesome because, we talk a lot about how we are at a very primal level designed to move away from pain and toward pleasure. And so it sounded like the pain you were moving toward or moving away from was, not another year on my vision board. What other pain was there that propelled you forward?
The other pain was the fact that it's like all of my business plans hinged on doing it. So my retreat, my speaking platform, all the things that I wanted to talk about, this was going to be the thing. And again, Celeste and I worked last year on writing down the Power of Pretend retreat, writing the whole thing out, what you do on day 1, day 2, day 3, like all of that is in the queue. It's just waiting for the book to launch. So
the future of your business was on hold.
Yeah, really. So it was just like, no more waiting. Just at some point you've got to.
Next book. No more waiting.
Yeah. At some point, you've just got to let it go and stop tweaking with it and stop fiddling with it and, I don't have enough quotes from enough experts, da 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 da. At some point, you've got to let the baby go.
That's good
So I
advice.
let it go. I gotta let it go.
Good advice in writing a book. And congratulations to you. This is awesome. We look
Thank you.
forward to watching the continued evolution of your future business unfold.
Yeah, me too.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you, George.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Who else wants to share one? I'm eating cashews right now because it's that time of day.
I'll share.
Carly, come on.
So last week I booked my first out-of-state speaking gig.
What? Congratulations. Tell us about how that unfolded.
I have been holding on to this for 10 days to tell you, George. I'm like,
10 days. That must be torture.
So what happened was I got really vulnerable, and because I've been recovering from the stomach infection, many old ladies have been asking me when my due date is, which made me feel very interesting things. So from that, I went, you know what, I can teach, I can be vulnerable and teach from this. So I posted this extremely vulnerable Facebook post and posted photos from a recent modeling gig I did, and I got a message from this woman that said, "How much do you charge to speak?" And I went, whoa.
I love that question.
And I said, well, let's get on the phone, because I didn't even know what she wanted me to speak for. And she said, I'm doing a fundraiser fashion show in October for a domestic violence victims organization. And I went, whoa, that is right in alignment. And so from what James Malinchek has taught me, I said, all right, I will donate my speaking fees as long as you fly me out there, because she's only having me speak for 5 to 7 minutes during this fashion show. And I said, as long as I can sell a coaching program and books, we're good. And she said, let's make it happen.
Cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. And then my other huge celebration is I finally have my flagship coaching program put together and getting ready to launch that. And a new business logo is almost done.
Awesome. Well, you've been working hard for a lot of years, girl. So it's time that your fruit begin to bear.
Yes. What was the analogy you used at Great Share Your Life? Was it the bamboo or the
water the bamboo, baby?
The roots have been going for quite a few years. So yes.
Cool. Time to sprout. Congratulations.
Yes.
Excuse me. Cool. Excited for you. Keep us posted on that. Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. So the speaking at 5 to 7 minutes is how many people are going to be there roughly?
A few hundred.
Okay. So you got to make sure, get this thing recorded. Excuse me. Get it recorded. Get it video recorded.
Yeah. It's 5 to 7 minutes. I'm speaking on how creating an intimate relationship with yourself is the foundation for having intimacy with a partner.
Yeah. And this could be your new speaking demo video. If you can just take that 7 minutes, cut it down to the highlights of 2 to 3 minutes, and boom, you got yourself a new speaker highlight video.
Awesome.
So if you go to thumbtack.com, and it's in Vegas, you said?
Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. So type in videographers in Huntsville, and you can find somebody to film that for easily under $100.
Okay. And I think she actually might be hiring a camera crew. So
whatever you decide to do, whatever the fuck you decide to do, get it professionally videoed and professional audio too.
Okay.
Because this is a big opportunity for you.
Yeah. Huge.
So maximize it and pay attention to where you're going to.
Yeah.
Are you driving right now?
No, I am in a parking lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just got.
Mythica's driving. We were both at the same meeting, and she did her thing, and then drove right behind me. And I'm like, I don't have to be anywhere till 4:30, so I'm good.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Congratulations. Let's continue grabbing celebrations. Who would want to share a celebration?
I do.
Andy Straight, is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
Come on.
Oh, I think I'm sending my teeth. Hi, guys. I totally do. Don't look. Yeah, so I have like probably 5 or 6 new clients in the last month and a half, which is awesome. Design clients, which I do love doing that. So that's awesome. And I finished my class. It's ready to go. I started launching it and then decided I wanted some help to launch it correctly. So I have someone already helping me with doing the launch. We've already sort of started, not sort of, like we have started the beginning of what that looks like, which starts small and then kind of builds on that. So I've sent out 2 different emails with all of that information, which if anyone wants to be in the emails, they're all free. It's awesome. And so that's all going, which feels great. And then also, I forgot until thank you for the reminder on the speaking part that my friend connected me with an opportunity in Banff, Canada to do speaking. And I don't know if I have it, but the opportunity kind of was my motivation factor to put together my speaker reel thing. So I did that in one really intense Sunday when I had a bunch of other things going on, and I would like search with my computer and edit. So I now have a speaker reel that I would love to edit a little more, but it's made and it's ready and done. So, and I sent that off and was like, I would love to speak. Here's my reel. Here's my TED Talk. Let's talk more. So that felt awesome to do that.
Nice. I love the flurry of wins there. So the one-on-one clients, is that because I knew you're kind of stepping into some of the transformational kind of work. Is it those kind of clients or design clients or both?
It's both. Yeah. It's both.
Cool.
Which is, yeah. Oh my God. I'm so lucky that my design clients keep being so fulfilling. I keep thinking, oh no, I just want to do the transformational stuff, and then my clients are so awesome. I just love all of them, and I get new ones, and I'm like, well, you're great too. Let's keep doing this. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Firing on all cylinders. Good deal. And then, so the speaking reel, how long is it? I'm curious.
I want to say it's between 3 and 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. I'm looking forward to watching it. Is it on your website or anything?
No, actually it's on YouTube, and I can find a link, and I'll put it in the GYOYL alum on Facebook.
Yeah, throw it in there. I'm sure people would love to see it and celebrate with you.
Yeah, and any again, I threw it together really fast. So any suggestions I would take as constructive criticism. That would be awesome.
Very good. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So congratulations, Mandy, on all your wins. Mandy, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, she was part of the Transformation Academy last year, just an absolute powerhouse in everything that she's doing. So make sure you stay connected to what she's up to as well. Cool. Anybody else want to share a quick win before we jump into a little bit of content today?
I can.
Sarah, come on.
Yeah. I decided to start a business with sewing, like quilts and anything that I feel like making, I'm going to make and then put up on Etsy. Eventually, I'd like to get like commissions and stuff like that.
I saw that. What's the name of it again? Did you go with?
Allura Star Creations.
Gotcha. Right. Awesome. So Etsy is kind of this website where you can sell kind of creative stuff and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Cool. So you're up and running and you're accepting payments and you're rocking and rolling?
Not quite yet. I'm still building my inventory. I did go out and get a bunch of fabric that I can turn into stuff. I've got, one of the things I love is I've been finding kimono on eBay that are too damaged to wear, but they can be turned into other things like purses or bags or pillows, something like that, wall hangings, because the fabric is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna put that in. And so I'm just building my inventory right now and kind of putting out, I made a Facebook website and I kind of put, hey, look at the beautiful fabrics I got in. And it's, if you have any ideas, I can work with a commission and something like that. And then I'll post the projects as I go, just to see the interest level of certain things over other things.
Sure. Cool. I mean, look at you. I remember you coming in the greatest year of your life, and that was just such a powerful experience you gave all of us, in calling your parents. And I'm sure, there were other points of transformation and breakthrough during the event, but you really just taken off this year, it seems.
Yeah. I also invested in a new sewing machine, because my good sewing machine is going to take a couple $100 to fix. It's an old Singer. So once it gets fixed, it'll last me forever.
Yeah.
But so I've been using my mom's machine, and it's putting a lot of wear on her machines. So I'm like, I need to get one of my own to get things going, so I'm not breaking her machine. Yeah.
Cool. Well, keep rocking and rolling, sister. It's fun to watch you and share your wins, in the Facebook group, and just to kind of see you continuing to expand into your own possibility. And
eventually, I do want to start teaching sewing.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Well, you keep rocking and you keep sharing, and to each of you, one step at a time. I think sometimes we look at our goals and we think of it in broad terms or in a big picture too often, and it just seems undoable. But just remember to scale it back into, one action, one step after another. And really, there's nowhere we can't go with one step after the other. So keep that in mind. So as we move forward here, I wanted to kind of go over just a very quick sort of review, a personal review model with you guys. That's very simple. There's two parts to it, and it's same three questions in a two-part sequence that will allow you to take a look at the first quarter of the year, and also what it is that you need to do differently this year. Or not this year, but this quarter number 2, to really go after it. And so before that, I wanted to remind you of a very important piece of data from I'm just going to show the keynote right now, or show the PowerPoint. It's called Keynote in the Mac world. So everybody can see this keynote here. So I shared this recently in a couple of my groups, and it's just such a good reminder. So many of you remember this study that I shared at the Greatest Year of Your Life on day 2, as we talked about the importance of having accountability. And this is what the Transformation Academy is built around. It's built around this study. In 2015, I think, was when I read it first off, and it just blew my mind. So I created kind of just a trial coaching program out of it, and worked with my real estate client that I had at the time out here in Portland. And some of the results they got were just off the charts. And so that's when, not long after that, that's when Breakthrough Academy was developed. And so this is the 5-part accountability system that if you utilize, and if you've been in the Transformation Academy, this is our basically the core of our model. And it's crazy because people can know intellectually that accountability is the biggest game changer in holding yourself accountable to achieving your goals, but you don't really truly know the power of it until you actually experience it. And so that's why I always tell people, you just need 1 year in the Transformation Academy, learn our models and strategies, and then implement that into your life. So in this study, Dr. Gail Matthews out of the Dominican University looked at 267 people aged 23 to 72. And group 1 simply were asked about their goals and asked to rate the difficulty level of their goals, just based on their skill level, current experience, networks, level of motivation, and all of that. Group number 2 did the same thing as group number 1 did, plus they wrote their goals down. Writing your goals down could be one of the easiest / most powerful things that you can implement into your day-to-day routine. Group number 3, same as groups number 1 and 2, plus they wrote action commitments for each goal. Group number 4, same as groups 1 through 3, plus they shared those action commitments with an accountability partner. And group number 5, same as groups 1 through 4. But on top of everything else, they sent a weekly progress report to their accountability partner. So when you think about this, this by itself doesn't mean shit, but here were the results. So groups 1 through 3, and if you remember, groups 1 through 3 first thought about their goals and difficulty level. Group 2 did that, plus they wrote their goals down. Group 3 wrote action commitments. And so that whole group 1 through 3, that whole sort of cluster of groups, if you will, 43% of people achieve their goals. And the baseline, according to statistic.com, is that only 9% of people feel accomplished in achieving their goals that they set in the new year. So very small percentage of people. But by simply applying those 3 levels of accountability, went from 9% to 43%. And then the next step up is group number 4, 62% of those people achieve their goals. And remember, group 4 added the sharing an action commitment to accountability partners. And group number 4, 62% of them achieve their goals. And then the big heyday, the big, money maker, if you will, group number 5, 76% of them achieve their goals. And group number 5, if you remember, sent a weekly progress report to their accountability partner. So now that you know this, and if you're willing to apply it, basically what this study is telling us is that by applying some level of accountability is going to dramatically increase our ability to achieve our goals. So you know it. This is just a nice reminder for you. And if you're not implementing it or applying it, do it. So kind of shifting gears a little bit from the accountability model to doing a personal review. So I started doing this at the beginning of last year, and I did it through all last year just as a kind of a way to consistently measure if this helps me in any way. And this 2-sequence, 3-question model is a very easy way to give yourself a personal review for quarter 1. So for those of you who don't know, sometimes we break the year into 4, which are quarters. So the first 3 months is quarter 1, second 3 months, quarter 2, and so on. Anyway, I don't think I have to explain that. But the first question is, and you got to think in big picture terms, what worked? What worked in Q1? So as you just think about in big picture terms, what worked in quarter 1? What went well is another way to ask that. And so just kind of and I invite you to take yourself through this process and give yourself a 3 to 5 minute window journaling process to answer these questions. You may not need that much time, or you may need a little bit more, but spend some intentional, curious time in each of these questions. What worked in quarter number 1? And just begin to kind of think big picture. What went well? What worked? So a good example that I shared recently was my health and vitality is always a high priority, because for me, without my health, without my vitality, without my mental clarity, like other areas of my life suffer. So I know that's a really important priority for me. So when I look at quarter 1 in terms of what worked, I did a good job in having a variety of workout routines to keep me interested, because if I do one thing over and over, I'm going to get bored. I did a good job of having a sort of a routine, an eating routine or a nutrition routine during high performance days, work days, and making sure that my energy level is high. So those are 2 things in that particular example of health and vitality that went well for me. All right, and so I'm just sharing my example just to kind of give you an idea of how to take yourself through this process. Question number 2, what didn't work? What didn't go well? So from a health standpoint, health and vitality standpoint, what didn't go well is, and this has been, a long-term challenge for me, is I eat a lot of Ben & Jerry's. I tend to eat a lot of Ben & Jerry's consistently over time. And so that didn't work again in Q1. And I'm starting to recognize a pretty strong pattern of why it doesn't work. And I'll paint that for you here in a moment. But what didn't work, more Ben & Jerry's than I'd like. In February of this year, I had 6 out of 7 nights eating 1 pint Ben & Jerry's ice creams. That's a lot of ice cream. That's a lot of sugar, more sugar than the body is designed to take in. But that's one of my challenges that I go through, that I'm going through with my health and vitality. So that didn't work. Also, my travel workout routine really sucked. Like when I traveled, so far Q1, I decided that, hey, maybe I just don't need to exercise. I'll give myself off. I sort of gave myself that little out in Q1. So I didn't work out during many of my travel, maybe a couple of times here and there, but all of Q1 and all of my travel, I didn't really exercise. And so that didn't work. And so the next question I want to ask is, and again, this is all big picture, right? So we'll go big picture to specific here in a moment. So the third question we want to ask is what must change in order to improve this area? Or what must change in order to improve? Another way to question that is, what am I committed to doing in order to improve this area? So in my example of health and vitality, what I decided that is a must change for me is I must get a travel exercise routine in place. I must re-implement that and not give myself the out of, I'll just be off, on travel days. Nope. So I got to re-implement that. And then for Ben & Jerry's, one thing I'm committed to doing is replacing, because every time I have Ben & Jerry's, it's usually coupled with watching a movie. And it's not really useful time. It's time and energy spent not in alignment with my goals. And so one thing that I committed to doing, instead of eating Ben & Jerry's, watching ice cream, I've committed that time back to one of my goals, which is to learn to play the piano and compose my own music. So I'll be able to get that time and not recalibrate, but redirect it or whatever to that particular goal activity that I have. So that's, even though that seems a little specific, it's big picture. And that'll make sense here in a moment. So those are the three questions you want to ask yourself from Q1 to give yourself a review to see how you can improve for the next quarter. So the second sequence, instead of big picture, it's now we want to get specific. And I'm going to share my health and vitality example so it makes sense for you. So specifically, what worked? In terms of my health and vitality, what worked specifically, because what we want to do is we want to highlight the specific things that we did, the specific habits that we have in place that are working, to acknowledge them, to release a little bit of dopamine, that I did it chemical, so that we're motivated to do it again. So what worked for me specifically was during Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm full-time dad, and I had to find a class during that day between the boys' nap schedule and eating schedule and all of that I can go and drop them off at the daycare and go do an exercise. So I took on Tuesdays and Thursdays P90X at 11, which is super high intensity workout. So specifically that worked. So I want to make sure, now that I know that, I want to make sure to continue to participate in that activity, in that habit, because it's one that's working for me. Specifically, and another thing that worked is I have a pretty disciplined sort of eating and nutrition schedule, at least in the first majority of the day. So I do intermittent fasting on high performance days, where typically it's Monday through Friday. I start eating at 11 a.m. and I have supplements before that, like I'll have a cup of coffee and I'll have this sort of brain and gut drink that I take. And I also have a green drink, a detox drink with chia seeds that I take. And then at 11, I typically have just a plant-based protein shake. And it allows my body to utilize its energy toward creation and not digestion. Something to keep in mind when it comes to peak performance is that our bodies are going to be, if our body is spending too much time breaking down, digesting food, it's not being able to use that energy toward creativity or moving projects forward or high priority activities. So for me, I want to make sure that my body is well nourished, but also with not too much food, with just enough fuel and the right fuel to really keep me at high energy and peak performance. So that specifically worked for me. So I want to highlight those two things. And then, as you take yourself through this, feel free to get list even more things that are working, because again, you want to acknowledge them, give yourself a little celebration for doing those things, release a little dopamine, and then your brain is motivated to continue doing them. So what worked for you specifically? So we kind of switch the brain from going big picture to specific. And that's, I think, the magic in this particular process. Number two is again, same question, what didn't work? Specifically, what didn't work? Specifically, what doesn't work in terms of the ice cream thing is when I dial it down, when I have a lot of stress going on, that typically triggers some sort of bad eating habit, most likely ice cream. And then, hell, I'm already at, Safeway. I already got my ice cream. I might as well stop by the Red Box and see what movie I haven't seen and then just double it up. And then boom, I just kind of like, go unconscious to the movie and to the ice cream when it's not right or wrong. It's just that I could be using that time for more productive activities that are aligned with my goals. So that the entire eating ice cream, watching movies is out of alignment with my goal. So that specifically did not work. So as a more resourceful stress relief, I'm committed to allocating that time back to learning music and playing piano. So specifically, I actually just answered the next question, but specifically that didn't work in terms of how I'm managing the stress that comes during the day. Another thing that didn't work, as I mentioned earlier, was my non-workout travel schedule, giving myself that out. So that didn't, specifically not having a routine did not work. And the next question, the final question, specifically, what must change in order to improve? So now here we get into the specific activities or the specific changes we can implement in order to improve in Q2. So question number three is what must change in order to improve? In my health and vitality example, the specific thing that needs to change is when I feel stressed, don't go to Safeway and just come straight home and do a little grounding, do a little sort of relaxing, and then just jump onto my music creation station over here. Also, what I wrote down in terms of my travel workout schedule, knowing how many nights I'm going to be gone, and then having a specific workout that I'm going to be implementing night 1, night 2, or day 1, day 2, day 3, depending on how many nights I'm gone, so that I specifically plan for each individual day that I'm there and what workout that I'm going to participate in. So now I have this. Now I've looked and I've analyzed Q1. I've looked at what worked. I looked at what didn't work. Now I'm looking at what must change and what can I implement. Now I have a plan moving forward into Q2 in order to improve this specific area of my life. All right. So just want to open it up for questions to see if you have any questions about this model, if you will, that came up as I was going through my process. Any questions? Okay. All right. So that's it, guys. That's it. I'm going to stop share. Come back to the screen. So that's it. Take a moment, out of your day over the next, 20 to 30 minutes is really all this takes. If you're timing it out, 3 to 5 minutes per question, take 20 to 30 minutes and sharpen your axe. So you remember the story of the lumberjack that I share about, how there's a lumberjack and he's got a family to feed and he's out of work. So he's applying everywhere. Nobody's hiring. Eventually he gets hired and he comes in and he's fired up. So he chops down 18 trees and the boss is really satisfied. And then he comes back the next day, works even harder, but only cuts down 15 trees and doesn't know what's going on. Decides to come back the next day, work through the morning, work through lunch, only cuts down 12 trees. And his boss tells him, hey, if you got some more decline, we're going to have to let you go. And so the next day he comes in, skips breakfast, lunch, and dinner, works through all of it, only cuts down 10 trees. And at the end of the day, he's let go. And the boss asks him for his axe. And the lumberjack hands over the axe and the boss takes it. And he looks at the axe. He's like, when was the last time you sharpened your axe? And the lumberjack said, sharpen my axe? I didn't sharpen my axe. I was too busy cutting down trees. And sometimes we do this, right? Sometimes we go after our days, go after our life, go after our goals without taking a moment and sharpening our axe, taking a moment and assessing our progress, assessing our performance for a certain period of time to determine how do we improve. And this is the essence of NLP and the presupposition that there is no failure, only feedback. It's like Q1 wasn't neither a failure or success. You just had a bunch of activity. Now, through this questioning process, you get to determine whether that activity was useful for you or not, and how do you improve for Q1. So utilize these questions as a way to extract feedback from quarter one and allow that feedback to let you know, what do I do to improve for Q2? So sharpen your axe, folks. Sharpen your axe. It was awesome to hear some of the wins and celebrations. I'm looking to hearing more about more as we move through the year. Just a couple of wrapping up announcements. Our mid-year retreat is set and ready to go, and I'll be sending out some more information on that, but I think it's July 19th. July 19th. It's on a Friday, and it is at Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Colorado, and we'll spend an entire day out there for this one-day retreat, and you'll be getting more details, too, in our Facebook group and via email. But let me confirm. July 19th is our Greatest Year of Your Life mid-year retreat. It'll be our second annual mid-year retreat, so save the date for that. Also save the date for Greatest Year of Your Life 2020. We have those dates already set, January 19th or January 17th through the 19th. And in the past, we've sort of hugged it up against the Martin Luther King Jr. Monday holiday. This past year, we didn't, but typically we do it so that most people are off if they have kind of a 9-to-5 job or any kind of job. Most people are off that Monday, so it gives you an R&R day. So we did that again this year, and so save the dates for that as well. Last thing is our Greatest Year of Your Life. So as if you've been part of the GYOYL alumni for any period of time, you've seen us add a lot of different things over the years just to make it more valuable for people. And so one thing that we've realized over the years is the more touch points that we create for people, typically the more engaged that you stay, and we want you to stay engaged. And so we recently did a Greatest Year of Your Life alumni evening social. It went over really well. We had a ton of people show up, and people just shared their wins and reconnected, and the vibe was amazing. So we're going to do another one of those. We don't know the exact date yet, so keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a karaoke social, though. So, practice those vocal cords, and as soon as we get the date, we'll send it to you. But it's a great opportunity to reconnect with the other alumni and get re-inspired and reconnected to everything that we're up to, just about pursuing our dreams and going after our goals. That's it, guys. Thanks for your time today, and really appreciate you spending and investing your time here with us. I hope that the year ahead of you and the next 3 quarters show even more success than they have in the past, and utilize this quick assessment, this 3-question sequence to utilize feedback to improve for Q2. Have an amazing rest of your day, guys. Take good care, stay awesome, and see you soon.